Before Louis finished dealing with Venice, in 1557 he summoned his wife's cousin, the new young Ban Tvrtko of Bosnia, and forced him to give up a significant portion of his land as Elizabeth's dowry. But when Louis attempted to assert control over his new territories, a rebellion broke out. Tvrtko himself rose up in rebellion in 1363 to attempt to reclaim what he lost to Louis. Louis's campaign against the rebellion in Bosnia, after initial successes, met with stiff resistance, and the war dragged on until 1366, when Ban Tvrtko was also facing a rebellion of his own. His brother Vuk attempted to overthrow him. Tvrtko again pledged himself to Louis, and Louis obliged him by helping him crush the rebelling sibling. Tvrtko would remain a loyal but quite significantly autonomous vassal to Louis from then on, as Louis didn't really see the point in dragging out this conflict, and Tvrtko was his beloved wife's family, so this would have to be good enough. The extensive autonomy Tvrtko enjoyed can be clearly seen when he took the title of King of Bosnia in 1377. As for the collapsing realm of Serbia, Louis decided to expand his influence there in 1359. After the defeat of Uroš the Weak, Louis made some of the Serbian successor princes his vassals. But the most trouble Louis would have was with the retroactively named Romanian princedoms and Bulgaria. Going back quite a bit, in the late 1340s, Louis dispatched an army to Moldavia to fight off Mongol raiders and establish Louis's authority there. A noble by the name of Dragos swore loyalty to Louis as his vassal in the area. But when in 1359 another Moldavian lord by the name of Bogdan overthrew Dragos's successors, Louis had to lead another army into Moldavia to make Bogdan submit to his rule. Louis's Balkan interest worried the ruler of Wallachia, Alexander, son of Prince Basarab, the same Basarab who ambushed Louis's father, Charles Robert. Alexander decided to preemptively swear loyalty to Louis so that Louis would not make him do so. So instead of getting invaded, Alexander got rewarded. But by 1364 Alexander died and was succeeded by his son Vlaciu, who did not recognize Louis's overlordship, which led Louis to go to war. Louis decided to outmaneuver Vlaciu by going through Bulgaria, which was in dynastic conflict. In his campaign, Louis captured the Bulgarian pretender Ivan Stratimir and imprisoned him, and the outflanked Vlaciu again submitted to Louis, only to rebel against him again in 1368 with the help from the Bulgarian prince Ivan Šishman, brother to Ivan Stratimir. By 1369, Louis relented and agreed to a treaty. Vlaciu would retain his position but would resubmit himself to Louis. Ivan Stratimir would be released on the condition that he also became Louis's vassal. As further insurance, Louis kept Ivan Stratimir's daughters hostage. Hampering Louis the most in his attempts to control the area was the severe lack of castles and bases in the eastern half of the realm, and the very mountainous terrain, especially the dreaded Carpathian mountains, where at one point the voivode of Transylvania, Nicholas Lakvi, got ambushed by Vlaciu's forces. And in the middle of all this there was the very foreshadowed development. In 1364, a grand congress was held in the Polish town of Krakow. The odd man out of the European attendees was King Peter of Cyprus, who was begging the Congress to launch a military effort into Anatolia against the expanding Ottoman Sultanate. The same Ottoman Sultanate which just recently, in the 1350s, established itself on the European side of the Dardanelles. But that matter was mostly neglected by the other attendees in favor of usual European dynastic politics. In 1366, Byzantine Emperor John V personally came to visit Louis at his court in Hungary and begged Louis for help against the Ottomans. Emperor John V going so far as to propose a union of the churches and mending of the Great Schism, but the talks broke down. Louis accompanied John V south, down to the border, where the Emperor of Byzantium was forced to wait for the Bulgarian Tsar to let him pass through his realm. In 1374, Vlachia would rebel again. This time, Vlaciu allied himself with the Ottoman Sultan. Louis defeated Vlaciu's successor, Radu, and the Ottomans in a subsequent campaign, but this time Vlachia did not resubmit itself to Louis. Moldavia would keep on rebelling in 1366, 1368, 1370, 1374, 1377, with Louis sending army after army, again and again, until the last one managed to, maybe, secure fealty of the local lords. The Balkanic and Transcarpathian campaigns, the Ottoman expansion, and just the need to secure control of his realm led Louis on a castle-building spree.